please. Don't kill me. I'm so sorry. And we have more pens, and I realize I need more photocopies of my handout. Any chance you can come and help me out? I'm so sorry. 'Cause thank you so much. Thank you so much. Just 12. Easy day. Easy day. Yeah. Oh. Oh, no, no, no. Oh, no, no.
What do you need?
I
I'll
may
get it
have
for you.
given Carrie my notes.
Which one's Carrie?
Unless. Hi, everybody. Does anybody have a handout that does not have a staple in it? No staple in their handout? Because that means you have my cheat sheet that I'm never going to follow anyway because I can't. No. Okay. I don't need a handout. I wanted just my notes. No, no, no. It's my notes. It's okay. It's possible. It's okay. I had a couple of extra goodies on there, but that's okay. I don't need it. Huh? That's a different handout? Great. Bev, you won a car. Mazel tov. Yes, ma'am. Um, Friends in the back, am I going to have to split you up? It's going to have to be a problem. Michelle, is this going to be a problem? You look sweet, but she's going to start the rebellion in the back. There's more seats up here. Do we need to set up another table, friends? No? Oh, what's up, Feltunes? I'm going to see you every day this week. Fabulous. Friends, welcome. Bruchim habaim. It is always a privilege to learn alongside you. I'm so excited. One small note. First of all, before we begin, there's so much wonderful things happening in the world, and I want to add one more to our list. Forgive me, I'm going to embarrass you. We have Emily Eisner sitting right here, and Emily's daughter, Belen, became a bat mitzvah on Shabbat. And she was wonderful and really moving, and I think at one point everybody was crying. You, her dad. Belen was crying. Belen was crying the whole time. I was crying. Canarsibo was so much crying. So much crying. It was great. It was beautiful. We cried so much. It was great. So Mazal Tov, and thank you for letting us celebrate your family. It was such a blessing. I'm so happy to be here. I really am so excited. Gearing up for the high holidays is like tax season for rabbis, right? It's very stressful. And when you get to see your people, it's like, oh, that's right, that's why. Okay, now this is good. So you're filling up my battery. So I'm so grateful for you to be here with me. Really, I'm so thrilled that we get to learn together and just be together. A small introduction. Rosh Hashanah, which is our new year, begins in Tishrei. Tishrei is the 7th month of our Jewish calendar. Yes, I said 7th. It is not the first. You would think it's like January, but the Jewish calendar works a little differently. The first month of the Jewish calendar is actually Nisan. Does anybody remember what holiday takes place in Nisan? Pesach, Passover. That is the story of the birth of our people. So Nisan is really the first month. Tishrei is the 7th month. I want to take us back for just a moment. I am so grateful. I'm going to give a shout out to Rabbi Caruso, who is really was very willing to do something this year that I've been dying to do for years, and I'm hoping we'll do it for years to come. And that is to start setting the tone at our synagogue, starting in the month of Elul. Rosh Hashanah, when you get here for Rosh Hashanah, we have a lot of work to do. We have to repent, we have to pray, we have to see members of our community, we have to do apologies, we have to, bang on our chests. It's a lot of work. Elul gives us the whole month before that to start that reflection process. And so I'm so grateful because Rabbi Caruso, when we talked about thinking about the Jewish holidays, I shared with him that it is my fantasy, and I have so many, and this is just one that has already come to fruition. I want us to collectively start living Jewishly. To live Jewishly means to live in Jewish time, which means that we can think September, October. I get it. We live in a secular world. That's wonderful. It's kosher. It's a blessing. And also, we have to be living in Jewish time. So for us, Elul, the end of the summer, is our time to start to get ourselves in gear, to hit the gear pedal. Anybody still remember how to drive a manual? Oof, get it a little stuck. Just get it. That's us. This is us in the month of Elul, right? Until we get into that next gear and we can smooth sailing into Rosh Hashanah. Rosh Hashanah is the middle. And then Yom Kippur, of course, but then we have Sukkot and Simchat Torah, which are also rebirths and beginnings and appreciation and gratitude and inviting people into our homes, but not just our homes, our souls, really, right? This is why we have Sukkot. It's symbolic. So if there's one thing we walk away with today, I hope, it's that we just start to think about our lives as living through Jewish time. You don't have to know the Jewish date every day. If you know it, great. If you don't, that's okay. By the way, there's really great apps these days that you can just add an add-on, and you can have the date in your calendar. That's your secular calendar, but that's neither here nor there. So we have this series now for Elul, and I hope if you haven't come already, we have a few more leading up to Rosh Hashanah to do this really meaningful preparatory work. Okay? Great. So I'm so excited to be here. This is something I've been thinking about a lot. I think about a lot in general. If you look at your handout, in Elul we ask, what stories do I tell myself about who I am? For those of you who don't have a handout, can you please share with someone? Please, for now. Here, Carol, can you grab this one for the, Carol? I don't think there are more. Here's an extra. Okay, thank you, David. Brilliant. What are the stories I tell myself about who I am? Are they true, or are they just familiar? This handout will guide you through Jewish texts and a personal practice to examine the narratives that shake us. Oh, God bless you, Carrie Rabbi Hinton. Thank you so much. You're a blessing. Carrie. Carrie, I think I may have made a mistake, and I'm praying that I didn't. I didn't. Hold on. No, you're great. I didn't make a mistake. Hi, welcome. This is for you. I think we're good. Carrie, thank you so much, my friend. Can everybody say thank you, Carrie? Okay. And let's do our best to share. Okay. So can somebody read the opening quote from Alice Miller and just raise your hand for me? Oh, you were asking for a handout? I thought you were volunteering to read. Sorry. Can I borrow this for 1 second? Okay, read that. Thanks. You're a good friend. This one. The truth about our childhood.
The truth about our childhood is stored up in our body, and although we can repress it, we can never alter it. Our intellect can be deceived, our feelings manipulated, our perceptions confused, and our body tricked with medication. But someday the body will present its bill.
Thank you. I know. Ooh. So Elul. For those of you who don't have a pen, there's some more up here. Has anybody ever heard of Alice before? Okay. She wrote a fantastic book called Banished Knowledge. And a lot of our, and again, I'm coming from a rabbinic, spiritual, soulful perspective here. So much of how we experience our world is a story that we tell first and foremost through our body, our physical form, right? We know in Judaism our physical form is very important. We were talking a few minutes ago about making our body holy by working out. This is a spiritual, without a doubt, a spiritual action, moving our body, taking care of our vessel, because it holds the soul, right? Our bodies are very important. There's a whole chapter at the beginning of this book that we read about these people that were created from nothing and made into something, right? Our vessel matters. And we know this. Let's start with the negative because it's very relatable. Does anybody hold tension in their body? Anybody like a good massage? Yeah, is that right? Anybody ever go like this? Oh, or ooh, or when they get up out of the chair? Not just because you're pregnant, right? Is this a relatable? Okay. So our tradition will actually tell you that very much the way we experience the world, the way we ingest our experiences, plays out in our bodies, okay? Do we have any physicians in the room? Okay, great, okay. So physicians, you'll correct me if I'm wrong, okay? When I was in rabbinical school, one of the most important classes I had was called Clinical Pastoral Education. Really intense. It's 800 hours in one summer where you're basically living in the hospital and you are serving as a pastor to people of all faiths. One night when we're all drinking wine together, I have some great stories from that experience. Oh my gosh, people are so fun. But that's not what I'm here to talk about. But one of the things that I took away, and I didn't even value it at the time, but my teacher, Rabbi Dr. Julie Schwartz, explained to us that it is so much easier, and physicians, here's where I need you, it is so helpful, understatement, when a person is in good spirits or their spirits are elevated for their healing to occur. Okay, confirmed by physicians, great. The doctors, some Jewish doctors. Okay. So often, we know this, we all know this, right? But so often, we treat the categories in our experience as separate categories in our life, right? The body, the mind, the soul, the spirit. And tonight, I'd like to suggest this is all one thing. This is all one thing. Our body is a reflection of the way we experience the world. Our body is the way we process what happens in our realm, what happens to us, what happens for us, and how do we deal with it. And tonight I want to touch on something which I think is so important for the month of Elul. It is the lens by which we wear the stories we think are true. What? I'm going to say that again. The lens by which we live our lives because of stories we have told ourselves. I'm not good enough. I'm not smart. I'm fat. I'm ugly. I'm not, sophisticated. Nobody loves me. I'm overwhelmed. I'm an anxious person. These are things we tell ourselves, and when we believe them, it is almost like the funnel by which we experience things. So to give kind of a trite example, I'm an anxious person. That means that I don't do well with overwhelm. Is it? Says who? Why do you think you're an anxious person? Perhaps you experience things sometimes with some anxiety, but it doesn't make you anxious. There's a difference between I'm a smoker and I, on occasion, have a cig. Right? I'm a smoker is an identity, and I'm intentionally kind of speaking in extremes because I think it comes the most easily. There's a difference between having an identity, I am a smoker, versus I have a cigarette sometimes, or I smoke. Right? We funnel our experiences through the stories that we've told ourselves. Now, most of the times, we're not even aware of the story we're telling ourselves. It is so subconscious. It is so deep in our kishkas, you say. It is so deep in our bellies that we don't even realize we're doing the thing. And I say that to you because then it affects every interaction that we have. If I am an anxious person, that means that every time I walk into a conversation, if something doesn't go to the way I planned, I'm immediately going to have a freak out. But it doesn't have to be that way. Doesn't have to be that way. Okay. Have I confused you well? Great. Let's tangle some more. Okay? I wanted to give us a little bit of an umbrella of what I'm talking about, and we're going to break it down piece by piece. Okay? The first story that I want to talk about tonight is a story that I just love so much. And I included the whole thing. I wanted to do pieces of it, but it's just so good. This is the moment with the spies. Okay? There's a moment when the Israelites they're about to traverse into uncharted territory, and Moses sends 12 spies to see what the land was like and get their take on it. Now, 12 in Judaism, very symbolic, right? We have 12 tribes. A lot of things happen in 12s. And he didn't just send one person, and it's really important to note that. So I want to briefly read the story. At the end of the 40 days, they returned from scouting the land. They went straight to Moses and Aaron and the whole Israelite community at Kadesh in the wilderness of Paran. And they made their report to them and the whole community. And they showed them the fruit of the land. It's a good place. It has fruit, has vegetation. And this is what they told him. We came to the land you sent us to. It does indeed flow with milk and honey. And this is its fruit. However, the people who inhabit the country are powerful, and the cities are fortified and very large. Moreover, we saw the Anakites there. Amalekites dwell in the Negev region. Hittites, Jebusites, and Amoricites inhabit the hill country, and Canaanites dwell by the sea and along the Jordan. Caleb hushed the people before Moses and said, "Let us by all means go up, and we shall gain possession of it, for we shall surely overcome it. But the other men who had gone up with him said, "We cannot attack that people, for they are stronger than we." Thus they spread calumnies among the Israelites about the land they had scouted, saying, "The country that we traversed and scouted is one that devours its settlers. All the people that we saw in the astonishingly great size, we saw the Nephilim there. The Anakim, the Anakites, are part of the Nephilim. And we looked like grasshoppers to ourselves, and so we must have looked to them." The whole community broke into loud cries, and the people wept that night. All the Israelites railed against Moses and Aaron. "If only we had died in the land of Egypt," the whole community shouted at them, "or if only we might die in this wilderness." Okay, kvetchy Israelites, take it easy. 12 scouts go, 12 scouts come back. 10 are afraid. 2, Caleb, and Joshua, tell a different story. What can we glean from this right away? What can we glean from this statistic? What do we know for sure is at play here? Okay, people have different perspectives on what they see. Absolutely. What else? Say more. Okay, they experienced the same thing differently. Lynn? Okay, they have different attitudes about their own abilities, maybe the way they see themselves. Is that what you're saying? Okay. Okay. Now I got to tell you, you got the Hebrew. We just two things, small little things. First of all, the word devours is actually very well translated, so I was really happy about that. Here's what you lose. Who are the people on the other side? What do they call them in English? Rega, I never know the English. I'm so terrible. Anakites or something like that? Anakites. It's the last word on the left of the first page. In Hebrew, the word they use is anakiim. And anakiim in Hebrew means giants. So the name of the people is giants. And the best part of it is the last line says Anakites are part of the Nephilim. In Hebrew, in English, you miss it. Nephilim, in Hebrew, nafal, comes from the word the fallen. So if you fight with the giants, you're going to fall and die. Okay, so even in the name of the people, the text is telling you something about the way they're being viewed. These people are giant, and they're part of the people that make other people fall. But that's too many words, so they can't translate it that way. Right? But that's so delicious. And then when we flip the page, and by the way, I learned something new. I never realized this. I can't believe I never realized this. The word hush in English that they say, Joshua, hush. Yes, verse 30. Caleb hushed the people. The word hush is also in Hebrew, which I had never, so I'm curious if the English actually comes from the Hebrew, but I might be wrong. Susan, please. Love this, right? We also see this when Abraham almost sacrifices Isaac, and then they walk back, and the Torah's like, we're not telling you what they talked about. Happy holidays. And you're like, but what happened? And then Sarah dies in the next chapter. Yeesh. Okay, so we don't even know what the conversation was like, right? Were they intimidated? Maybe 8 of them came back okay. Maybe they were intimidating each other. Oh, you're going to die, right? Could have been it's true, we don't know. You're so right. There's so much left in the unknown. I'm so glad you talked about the unknown. That's so great. Good. And then we see on the next page, in the next chapter, which I clipped from a little bit, the whole community, in the top line, they looked like grasshoppers to themselves. What is that about? Small grasshoppers were going to get crushed and eaten, devoured alive by these giants that are going to make us fall. Yikes. Okay. And then the whole community broke out into loud cries, and the people wept that night.
That's all they've ever said. Oh, we should have died. Oh, let's go back. Oh, we're going to die. Over and over and over again. They're there.
The Torah, it should have a subline, Torah, the kvetch. Yes. Did everybody hear what Marcy said? She said, you'd think they'd learn already. Every time they come back from something, they're like, oh my God, we're going to die. We need to go back to Egypt. They're going to kill us. They're going to kill us. Okay, Maida says this is the next generation. Don't you think they would have been over this already? Don't you think they know that they can just, rah? But what do we know about intergenerational trauma? Psychologists, psychiatrists, nurses, doctors. Yeah, and actually, it's really, does anybody know Jen Margolis? Ugh, brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. She's a coach. She does a million things. I don't even understand her job descriptions. There's so many. But she actually talks about the science, the actual like DNA of intergenerational trauma. It's fascinating. It's very real. It's very real. Even think about the way we're raised, right? Imagine, and we have firsthand at this, right, with the Holocaust, right? Where some Holocaust survivors told their children, you fight until you have nothing left. And other survivors were like, don't say that you're Jewish. Cover up that you're Jewish all the time. I'm gonna name you something so secular that you have zero connection to our past, right? There's no right and wrong. There's just human behavior, right? Yeah. Wow. Wow.
And the other thing too that I wanted to say is, there's certain ways people respond to trauma. There's fight, there's flight, there's
Fawn, freeze. Yep, yep. Right.
But isn't it interesting that God made them stay for 40 years so that the next generation would be the group that was going to move into the promised land?
That's right. That we had to be, we weren't ready to go into the promised land. We had to be in the desert for 40 years intentionally so the next generation could come in. Right. That has a lot to do with the trauma. Absolutely. So, suffice it to say, we know the ending. They go in. And Joshua and Caleb were right. They listened to the minority. Now, here's what's so interesting. To Marcy's point, and I want to touch on this because it's very funny. It's not funny at all. It's notable. They railed against Moses and Aaron. If only we had died in the land of Egypt. There was so much despair. Why did you take us out? The minute, and again, not funny, right? They crossed the Red Sea. Miriam took out her timbrels. They danced. They sang. Not 6 minutes goes by. And they're complaining. Where are we? This isn't the Hilton you promised. We're in the wilderness. What did you take us out of? What have you done? What is this God of yours that we can't even see? Are you literally crazy, Moses? Are you psychotic? They use the word psychotic in Torah. They don't. They were more, and this is the crying, right? The crying out. They were more prepared to go back to Egypt, where they knew the suffering of Egypt, than go, God forbid, into the unknown. Better the enemy you know than the unknown. right? Now, I want to touch on that for a minute because I want us to look inside. I don't know about you, but I have some habits I don't love. Anyone else? Can anybody relate? How many times do we go back to those habits because we know them? We could be so upset. Why did I eat that snack at 11:30 right before I went to bed? I know I'm going to feel sick all night. Why am I doing this? Right? But sometimes there is comfort in something familiar, even if it's horrible. Like, I don't know, Egypt. Why do you think Egypt wasn't familiar to them? Okay, you're right. Egypt was not familiar to this generation.
And their essence of pining for something that existed, but in their head, they really didn't understand slavery. What they understood was the fear of going in. And so the desire to go back for them wasn't going back. It was not going forward.
Correct. It was about not going forward, but also they inherited the story of their parents.
Well, the parents don't leave Egypt because they loved it and wanted to stay there.
They didn't love Egypt, no, but it was something familiar, right? We can, unfortunately, we have a first-hand account in the Holocaust, and we know that, so many of us, when we see things that happen today in the news, we're like, there's a Holocaust coming. It's the first place we turn, right? It's a story. Story doesn't mean not true. Story is something that we tell ourselves, right? To oversimplify, I tell my body, okay, right, left, and this is how I do this thing called walking, right? This is a story I tell my body knows it very intimately. I don't even have to think about it. It's subconscious. No more or less subconscious than Holocaust. It's deeply ingrained. You're not furrowing your eyebrows at me, but there's furrowing happening on the inside.
I'm thinking personally, there's times in my life where I've been the only Jew in a sea of Gentiles. And I'm not Semitic in appearance, and I just blended in because it was safer. That's not how I live my life today, though sometimes I wonder if I shouldn't go back, given the danger that being who you are is. But so I've been on both sides of that kind of conversation in my own life. And I understand change is hard. It's particular, and as we get older, it gets harder. I get that. But it takes leaders to help people understand what their choices are. And that's a very different conversation. And we see herd mentality all over the place all the time. So how do you overcome that?
I want to offer a different perspective. How appropriate to our class. What if I were to tell you that the delusion by which you thought you were living your life in hiding was just scratch the surface and
Oh, I was wrong. I was exposed. I didn't know it. I mean, one of my teachers.
not just exposed, but I often hear people say, I wish we could go back to 10 years ago when everything was great. This is a delusion.
Well, I don't want to go back 60 years when we killed 50,000 American people.
Pass, I don't want to talk about that. The point I'm trying to make is, I think that the unknown, to your point, is very uncomfortable and scary. I also know that we have no choice but unknown. This is the calling of our people. Unknown. We are the leaders of unknown. If you study history even this much, and you look at the places where Jews have been expelled, those places drop. They fall apart. Economies, cultures, all of it. I'm not oversimplifying. I'm not. I'm not trying to say Jews are the best, Jews are the greatest. I'm not. But what I am saying is we have a calling, and one of the pieces of our calling is tikkun hanefesh, the repairing of our soul, and that is the hardest thing to do for any human being on earth. Herd mentality comes when you cannot examine yourself. So you point out. Pointing out is always easier. Always. People are blaming Israel for things that are so creative. So creative. But I'm trying to suggest here that, yes, there are situations in our lives, especially today, that seem threatening and scary, and also we still have choice. We had choice here, and we have choice today. Our Torah preserves this idea of choice. Our Torah, take note, doesn't say, oh, and the Israelites skipped into the promised land, and it was wonderful, and they just opened their mouths and milk and honey just came in, and it was wonderful. There was nothing wonderful. There was a lot of tragedy, a lot of difficulty, and a lot of fear. The fear was so deeply ingrained into their subconscious that they preferred to go back to being terrified and enslaved than walk into the unknown. The unknown is really hard. We don't know what's on the other side of the unknown. Could be worse, could be better, could be the same. So, first of all, this is one of my favorite stories ever, because, especially for this evening, because the way the Israelites viewed themselves in this moment was not that of a strengthened collective, but they functioned as one. They were divided. They were conflicted. There has never been a time in Jewish history where Jews have not been at odds with one another. And this is our biggest blessing, by the way. Biggest blessing. Because we have a diversity of ideas and a diversity of voices and experiences. And we also understand that we have to move up in a direction together. We might not be happy about it, but we have to move in a similar direction. Because that's the only way. You could say this, by the way, about any society. I want to be clear. But I'm here talking to Jews in the month of Elul, right? I'm not here talking about like the whole world needs to, that's way too big of a project, and we have enough members for me to worry about here. That's enough. Yeah, please. I'm so glad you said that. Please. Did everybody hear? Was that okay, so let me say that again. This is so much about faith, and the faith in God, and in the faith in Moses, and in the faith of our people, which, by the way, I would just add in parentheses, the faith in our people and Moses is actually really a faith in God also, right? Because if we are really created in God's image, which I believe that we are, then we have to have a trust with each other. Not easy, but real. And so this is an experience, not experiment, this is the experience of faith. How do we respond? Bev, what were you going to say? the choice between being hopeful and despair. I agree with you. Hopeful and despair are a choice. You're absolutely right. And there has to be something, sometimes when you choose to be hopeful, there's a delusion attached of like not really faith. It's gonna be fine, it's gonna be fine, it's gonna be fine. And that's not enough, right? There has to be something that looks inward. Right. I'm gonna give you a very personal example. About 8 years ago, I was working with my coach, and I told her, she asked me one day, she's like, do you snack during the day? I was like, yes, I work in an office. She goes, when do you snack? I was like, what time? She goes, yeah, what time? I'm like, I don't know, probably around 3, start to get tired. And then after many sessions, I'll skip the details because this is not a novella. But we learned that as a child, I grew up and I would come home at 3 o'clock every day, and I was home alone for 3 hours because my parents worked like animals to make sure that I had a life and make sure that I was healthy, but nobody was home to greet me, and I was by myself for hours at a time. Sometimes I would put myself to bed. And I'm so grateful to my parents. But that forever stayed with me, and I didn't even realize it. It was so subconscious, right? And it wasn't like my coach figured it out, and this is after many conversations and diving deeply, and I'll spare you the details, but there are things that are within us that we don't even realize and that we have to unpack, right? We sometimes think there's something that's a problem with us. Maybe it's not. Maybe something else is going on, and that's just a symptom. Maybe it's not a bad thing, right? So I think you're absolutely right about making a choice. That I think is spot on, because I think we always have a choice. We always have a choice. It takes courage, it takes therapy, it takes work, it takes chavruta. Oh my God, yes. Again, this goes back to my point. The Jewish people have work to do on this planet. We are on a mission. In the Reform movement, I feel so blessed that we have this like beautiful sentiment for tikkun olam, the repair of the world, but we forgot tikkun hanefesh. We can't help others without helping ourselves. This is so important. The airplane, right? Right? You put your mask on first, and then you help the person beside you. We forgot to put on our own mask. So we're helping others, gasping for air. And I'm exaggerating, it's a little tongue-in-cheek, but the reality is true. When I see young people today, right, I meet with a lot of B'nai Mitzvah kids. It's so great. I had one that's actually from Shabbaton. Great kid. This kid is writing a speech about losing trust and asking the questions, why do people lose trust in other people just because they have one bad experience or 2 bad experiences? And it's a great question. And this kid is talking about how we have to have faith, we have to give people a chance. And it's funny, as I'm listening to her, also in the back of my mind, I'm like, I can't wait to hear how the adults are gonna react. Well, humanity is garbage. Well, I've been burned so many times. But this kid is right. This kid is totally right. Yes, we can be burned 1, twice, 1,000 times, but it is still a choice to choose not to trust people. It doesn't have to be this way. It is a choice. Right? The story, Rabbi Klein and I fight about this all the time, and I'm totally right. He has no idea what he's talking about. We talked one day because I was talking to him about how every human being on this earth carries a backpack with them. And in that backpack is all their wonderful, happy memories from childhood and all their baggage. And they walk into every conversation and interaction with their baggage. And he was like, no, what do you mean? If I'm at the date, I'm like, you can't help yourself. You don't even realize it because you're always responding to what you know. Our brain, our subconscious, our soul, our body is so brilliant. It is the most brilliant computer on planet Earth. It is always working. Every interaction, boop, 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 is being stored away and being kept and inserted into your epigenetics, into your genes. And this is how you respond moving forward. You begin to respond, good, bad, indifferent. I'm not labeling it with anything. It's just how we respond with the experiences that came before us. Harriet, are you giving me exceptions when I'm trying to give a rule? All right, go ahead. You get one. Okay.
Ingrid asked the question, who do you save, the other person or yourself? Well, we think as ushers, we go help the person with the walker. And that would be our response.
Okay.
You're coming at me, she has a walker, I'm gonna go help her before I help myself. And what we were told, you don't help the other person if it's going to harm you. So there's a direct confusion.
For you.
And Ingrid.
Okay, you and Ingrid. No one else. I'm just kidding. Okay, I think you just said something so wonderful, and I'm going to repeat it because I don't think everybody heard it. Okay, Harriet says, I'm coming to get her. Careful, Harriet. And her instinct, as a result, I'm a bad guy. I'm coming to get her, and I'm coming to get everybody in my sight. And her instinct is to help the person in the walker. But the security told her that if you are in this scenario, you have to save yourself. And to her and Ingrid, this seems like not the right thing to do. She would rather help the person in the walker. You're a blessing and a nurse. So first of all, I'm going to out you now that you've outed yourself. Okay, you're a nurse. So you think like a nurse. You're a grandmother. You're a caregiver. You're a grandmother. So you're always thinking about Lador Vador. Okay, we could keep playing this game all day, but it's not a dating app, so we're not going to do that now. But that is your perspective. Now, let's say there's a 30-year-old cool guy coming to services, and he wants to save the walker person, but he also knows that if he runs into the building to save himself, he can also help 600 other people in the building. I think your example was actually really good, but I think what you said subconsciously, without even realizing it, the nurse, the caregiver, the mom, the grandmother, this is how you think. This is how you view the world. I don't think the world like a grandmother or a nurse. I view it like 90 other things that are not your things. They're just different. I think you named something so right. We are so ingrained. I also want to say one more thing on this. We're living also in a time, very confusing time, where you're told that it is more important that you help the other at the cost of your own well-being, because that is the right thing to do. It is not. It is not. Our sages will tell you giving to others is really important. It is not only important, it is a commandment. A mitzvah is not a good deed, it's a commandment. You have to help others. It is part of our contract as human beings on this earth, but not at the cost of your own well-being. That can't happen, because then you're not showing up as yourself. You're showing up as resentful, as upset, as not fully present. And Rambam will tell you that there's actually 13, he builds a 13-rung ladder, and he tells you the bottom of the rung is like giving and being upset about it. Right? And then being like, what? You're not going to give me any credit? I showed up. And the top is to give with glee, right? With a clean neshama, with your spirit. Yes, I feel good about this. That's a hard one. And to get no credit, to be anonymous. That's really hard. That is what it means to be Jewish. It's also aspirational, right? He knows it's hard because we're humans. We want the credit. Not in a bad way. It's okay to show up and to, it's good, it's okay, it's wonderful. It's not bad, right? But perception is really important. The way we perceive ourselves, the way we show up, right? If we're told we're supposed to feel something, who says? My coach always says to me, mi amar in Hebrew, who says? I'll be like, and this is how it's supposed to be. She says, who says? I'm like, yep, that's a good point. It's a good point. You're right. I'm like, society. She's like, meh. Meh. She's right. She's right. This is, why pay her the big bucks? So worth it. So worth it. Alan, tell me everything. Tell me.
Well, isn't Harriet's story also about what happens when two different perspectives collide? We've talked about Harriet's perspective, but the security guard had his own perspective and had a reason for saying what he said. And, it runs against the grain of Harriet's perspective. So it's more than just what your perspective is.
100%.
It's what your perspective is
And.
jumps into something else.
Okay, so Alan raises something really good. What happens when there's contradictory perspective? And sometimes it's not a contradictory perspective. Sometimes you're wrong.
But also, then comes Harriet's perspective regarding authority or regarding expert opinion
Yeah?
as to whether she's going to disregard what he
Yeah.
If we don't know, it's theoretical.
So look, in this scenario, it's a little tricky because he's the expert. He's speaking from statistics, from training. He's a former FBI officer. I mean, he's like his resume. And he knows what he's talking about. And he works with a lot of, he really is. Now, at the end of the day, tachlis, as my people like to say, bottom line, when you're out in the field, something happens, you're going to do whatever you want to do, aren't you? So, if that makes you feel nachat, then, like nachas, right? Then that's what you're going to do. Now, to your point about conflicting perspectives, okay, you're right. Now, I want to be clear. There's conflicting perspective, and then there's like, you are just wrong. Like, this is just incorrect, okay? And there is incorrect. There is. 2 + 2 is 4. It just is. It just is. Unless you're, no unless, okay? There are certain things that are just factual. As we say in Torah, sof pasuk, end of sentence, okay? But I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about real perspective. This is where Jews have to play into compassion and curiosity. I was driving today and somebody had a bumper sticker, Ve'ahavta l're'echa kamocha, love your neighbor as you love yourself. I sped so I could catch up to him and tell him how much I loved it. I was honking. Thank you, this is great. It was very great. It was good. Right? This is where love your neighbor as yourself. Again, it's not about being nice, hey neighbor. No, it's I want to beat her up because she's wrong, but I'm going to exercise curiosity and compassion. I would never hurt you. I love you so much. Right? That's what ve'ahavta l're'echa kamocha means. Uvacharta b'chaim. Choose life. Book of Deuteronomy. How nice. Choose life. Choose life is so hard. It means doing the hard thing because it's right, even when no one's looking. Oh my God, it's so hard to be Jewish. That's being Jewish. These concepts that, as we learned them as like very nice things, right? Do a mitzvah. No, a mitzvah is a commandment. I'm not inviting you to do a mitzvah. Do it. It is your obligation. That's what we do. You have to help others. You have to be compassionate. You must. This is what it means to be Jewish. And what I'm trying to talk about tonight is getting your insides to be willing to pull out the compassion, not at the cost of your own well-being, right? But to pull out the bravery or the courage or whatever it is that you need, and to rewrite the story in your head that you've carried for so long, right? Without even thinking about it. It's great. I have the best coach in the world. She's really intense, if anybody's interested. She makes me look like a little grasshopper, okay? She's the best. And she will constantly, as I'm talking, this week, this happened, and she'll literally interrupt me, Atzor, in Hebrew. Atzor, what is this story? What have you told yourself that this is how you're thinking about this story? And I have to be like, okay, right. Okay, why do I think this? It doesn't match. It's not reality, it's my perception. And we are so good, our brains are so brilliant, we can convince ourselves anything is true. We can convince ourselves anything is true. And by the way, social media has made it that our algorithms can support anything on earth. Very confusing. Very confusing.
Aren't we also taught when you brought up love others as you love yourself, but not more than yourself?
Correct.
So then you get into the discussion of the child who runs in front of the moving car. Natural instinct is to go grab that child, and you're dead. And the child you saved, but you didn't save yourself, and that's not okay.
Pause. Natural instinct for whom?
Exactly.
Okay? I don't know if you guys heard, Karen said there's a child running in front of a car. Our natural instinct is to save the child. That's nobody's natural instinct. That is an instinct. Someone else who hates children. Oh my God, that would be so bad. That was a really bad example. No, or whatever. What I'm trying to say is that you're right.
A caregiver, a mother, a grandmother.
Right.
Someone that it might be instinctive.
Right.
You don't even think about it.
Right. For some people, it is instinctive. You're right. You're right. And I, yeah, it's tough with kids. It gets complicated with kids. Right. It's tough. That's tough. Yeah. Okay. Bev. Oh, and then sorry. So Bev, and then. Oh, I love this. What would an animal do? She says. This is what sets us apart. This is what sets us apart. Listen, I think it depends on the animal. I am so the wrong address to talk to about which animal. I have no idea. But it's not just about saving a child or whatever, okay? It's about the way we approach a situation, right? It's a conversation with ourselves. That is what makes us not like animals. That is what makes human beings different. Yeah, sorry, thank you. I appreciated that you guys were like, hey, we're
Using the word instinct reminded me of work that I did years and years ago of children of not survivors, but people who saved Jews.
people of different faiths.
People of
Oh.
different faiths who saved Jews during the Holocaust. And those are proportions similar to what we have in the text. So 2 out of 10 or so. And they all said it was instinctive. They said it was, how could I not? And they do that, what the psychologist that I was working for found was that they all had very similar upbringings that were different from the traditional German or Polish upbringing that everybody else had.
Wait, I want to pause you because I want to repeat this, and I don't want to miss any detail, and you'll correct me if I'm wrong. So some of the work that you did was with people of different faiths that saved Jews during the Holocaust. The statistics were similar. It was like 2 or 3 out of whatever, 10, a dozen or so. And the people that did help Jews during this time said it was instinctive. And their upbringing was later proven by psychologists that they were raised differently than Germans at the time in general. Did I get that right? What else were you going to say, please?
Yeah, the big difference, the major, there were several differences. One of them was they were given more choice and freedom as children.
They were given more choice and freedom as children, and were, I'm guessing, guided how to make good choices? Yes. That's fascinating. Very Jewish. Really, though, I mean, wow, cool. Thank you. I can't wait to learn more about what you do. That's really cool. The ghostwriter. Oh my gosh, isn't that wild? How cool. Wow, that's amazing. So instinct is not an instinct. it's learned behavior. And again, hold on, I want to be very clear. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a psychiatrist. I'm not a psychologist. I'm not. What I am is a rabbi. And I know that when we work on our soul, our tikkun hanefesh, and we examine ourselves, we become different. And it's not like I'm some special rabbi that does this. Our Jewish calendar is this. It is this. This is what it is, tikkun hanefesh. On Rosh Hashanah, you have a sense of renewal, a cleanliness, a purity. And then 10 days later, by the way, in those 10 days, Yamim HaNoraim, the days of awe, you are supposed to look inside yourselves so deeply at your behavior, which is the unknown. It's terrifying. You don't want to see the bats in that closet. It's scary. Then you have Yom Kippur, which is the most joyous day of our calendar, because Yom Kippur says, I can be a better version of myself, and I get tomorrow. I get a reset. It doesn't mean everything is forgotten. It means now I can grow. Now I can start working on that stuff. And then we have Sukkot. We have these symbolic huts, right? Where we get out of our comfortable, warm, toasty homes. And in Cleveland, it's a disaster because it could snow, which is totally perplexing. Sukkot is way more fun in Israel because you don't need boots. Crazy. You go into your sukkah, and our tradition, this is so great. Our tradition is like, you're going to live uncomfortably for a week. You're welcome. You're supposed to sleep and stay in your sukkah. Now, that's just for really cool people. That is not me. However, or my family at all. However, the idea is the same. You're supposed to, we intentionally make ourselves uncomfortable. Have a meal in your sukkah. It's good, because then you have to bring everything outside, and you have to walk it. Oh man, I stepped in the dog poo. Okay, fine, whatever, it's fine. I'm gonna set the table. Oh my God, it's flying away. Give me something that I can hold it right. You're intentionally making yourself uncomfortable. You are intentionally dislodging your comfort, and you are saying, I am going to spend time uncomfortable. Brilliant. It's brilliant. And then we have Simchat Torah. You are forced to rejoice. You are forced to be happy. Who cares if you had a bad day? You have to be happy. That is the day of the renewal of our story. And we don't just do this like at home, la, 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 la. No, no, no. We go to the temple. We parade around with our story. We parade around with it because it's our story. We own it. I own it. You own it. We pass it around. The Jewish calendar is so brilliant and ahead of its time. And I'm just touching the tip of the iceberg. I haven't said anything. There's so much more. Our entire calendar is based on getting in there and just moving things around. That's what being Jewish is. And that is why we find ways to find light in darkness. That is why. That is why. Hanukkah, oh my God, I'll save that. Amazing. Amazing. Stop giving 7 gifts, 8 gifts. Stop doing it. You're ruining our holiday. Stop it. Stop it. It's so much more amazing. The gifts are killing it. Do it a week later or a week before. Don't do it on Hanukkah. Make Hanukkah about Hanukkah. Instead of give presents, be present. Way more interesting. Yes? Good. I'll yell at you in a few months. Page 2, the Rambam on tshuva. Who has reached tshuva, repentance, full repentance? A person who confronts the same situation in which they sinned, and when they had the potential to commit the sin again, and nevertheless abstains and does not commit it because of the tshuva alone, and not because of fear or lack of strength. We know this. We made it up. We're the Jews. We made everything up. We know this, right? We do the same thing. How does that expression go? You do something once, I'm crazy. Do it twice, you're crazy, something. Don't do it twice. This is not my area of expertise. Don't do something twice, and if you expect the same result at the end, you're crazy? That's not it, but you know what it is. You know what it is. Not that one, the other one. The other one. That's it. Say it again. Not my forte.
If you do the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result, you're a little crazy.
That's it. Insanity. That's the definition of insanity. I'm so glad we were able to put it together as a community. Yeah, right? How many times do we do that? The same thing over and over. We don't even realize it. Isn't it so funny when someone comes to us and is like, why are you doing it like this? You're like, well, this is how I've always done it. And they're like, that's goofy. Why would you do it that way? And you're like, oh, yeah. You can't help yourself. It's what I like to call the dislodge syndrome, right? It is so much easier when someone else comes to you and dislodges something, an assumption that you have. Being a Jew means you got to find out how to dislodge yourself. In addition to others, right? Because we do this. This is why we have chevruta, right? Chevruta means studying in partnership. But it's not just studying, it's fighting. There's a Talmud passage that talks about iron sharpens iron. Again, it's not, so what do you think about the passage? That's so nice. I think, no. It's why do you think that? What proved that? No, I don't like this proof text. That's what it means to be in chavruta. That's what it means to be chavruta. So it's dislodging something that we have done for so long. We're so habituated. We're so accustomed to it without even realizing it sometimes. And I want to talk about this just very briefly, just for a moment. There's 3 knowledges, okay? I got this from a colleague of mine. So here's what you know you know. There's things you know you know. I gave a kind of a silly example. I'm a rabbi. I know that when I lead with an open heart, I solve problems better. I'm a better rabbi when I come in with an open heart. Fact. I can prove it. What you know you don't know. I know rocket science exists. I do not understand rocket science. Okay? Clear. Here's the dislodge. What you don't know, you don't know. Okay? That is the blind spot. Everybody ever heard of that? The blind spot? Where your blind spots are? Okay. The thing so woven into you and how you operate that you can't see it as a choice at all. You experience it simply as this is how things are. Tshuva, repentance, Elul, and I want to say something about, I hate the word repentance. I super hate the word sin because they're not Jewish words, right? Tshuva in Hebrew literally means, okay, lashav, right, means to return, but tshuva also in Hebrew means answer. When you flip something enough, when you knead that dough enough, you get the answer. But if you're not doing this, you're not doing it right. Okay? Tshuva is so complex. It's work. It's real work. The main part of the service and the temple in ancient Israel was called avodah. Avodah in Hebrew means work. Work. It wasn't called tefillah. It was work, avodah. We have to move what we assume to be normal. Think about that person that you get in that fight with all the time. It's the same fight. It's the same thing you guys fight about all the time. Tshuva means thinking about that fight and saying, all right, what assumptions am I making about this situation, about this person, and where can I take responsibility in this disagreement? Where can I make resolve? When my husband and I are polar opposites in so many different ways. He thinks really fast. He's like, blah, 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 blah. I am not. Like, he was the kind of kid that went to school and never had to take notes, barely showed up to class, and was like a straight A+ student. So annoying. I was the one who showed up to everything, got extra help, and I was like a B+, A- student. So annoying. Okay, and I had to study for hours, and we're still like that, by the way. We'll read an article together, and I'm like, slow down. I don't know what that means. Did you understand? He's like, can you just read it after me? Okay. So when we first met and we would get into fights, he would just go through the whole fight in his head, and he would kind of get to the conclusion, and I would be like, freeze. I'm like, what just happened? Did you win? Are we done? I don't even know where we are anymore. I don't even know where we are. With time and good communication, I had to be like, listen, Shmoopy, you've got to slow down, because the way you perceive this conversation is not the way I perceive it. I need time to think about what you're saying, and I need to, like, I'm a rabbi. I need to, like, tshuva it in my belly, okay? And you're 10 steps ahead, okay? And it's not that I'm slow. I have different good qualities. Like, I see vision, big picture. He's good at, like, here, I'm like here, right? And I'm thinking about 90 different things, and so I'm, like, looking at the big picture, okay? So we just fight differently. With time, when we would fight, he would say his argument, and then he would start being like, and now you're probably gonna say da-da-da-da-da-da. And I'm like, yeah, that is what I'm gonna say. Yeah, what do you think of that? And he would kind of fight for me, which I super appreciated. And then he'd be like, and I see your perspective, I see what you mean, and that's fine, so, like, let's just meet in the middle. And I was like, great, let me know when we're done fighting. This is great, I'm gonna go have a coffee. But it's true, right? That was his tshuva, and that was our that was his compassion, right? He was like, okay, we had to have a lot of conversations about, we're on the same team. Okay, right? And, and it's become kind of like a joke now in our marriage that, like, Joe fights with himself for both of us. I love it that way. I'm so blessed. I'm the most blessed. He's the best in the world. But there's something that shifts, right? When you examine inward. He realized he was going too fast. I realized also that he's on my team. We're not fighting each other. We're fighting together for different outcomes, but we're on the same team. So we have to get to that outcome together. If we're not getting to that outcome together, then I'm not doing the work. I'm not doing my part. So we both had to have our tshuva moment with each other and in our communication, and rethinking, I had to change. The assumption was fight to the death, and I had to rewire and say, no, we're fighting for this thing here, and he wants to go this way, I want to go this way. Let's see if we can walk to the middle and then walk this way together. So much easier said than done, to be clear. But I had to shift my thinking, and he shifted his thinking. That is tshuva. It's work. So I'm going to pause, even though we're nowhere near done. There's a few other beautiful texts that I invite you to look at this week, if you have some time. On the back, the two other sheets. If you have time, let me say this differently. Make time. Make time this week. It doesn't have to take more than 5 minutes, but it'll shift your mentality. Answer some of these questions. Where in your life have you stopped being curious? about a person, about a relationship, about your own habits, because you've decided you already know the ending. I'm not saying resolve anything. I'm just saying make an observation. That's all. Number 2, what would it look like this Elul to deliberately cultivate curiosity about something you've assumed was settled? Unearth something. Lastly, on this page, in your life right now, where is the gap between what you're doing and what you're getting? Pause and notice. Where is the gap? Where is something missing? And lastly, on the back, spend really just a few moments for gratitude and joy, forced gratitude and joy. Short term, medium term, long term. And think with the words, I am so happy and grateful now that it is blah, blah, or now that I have blah, blah. We always talk about counting your blessings, and it's true. And it's really hard. Every morning, Jews start the blessing of, every morning, what do we say first thing in the morning? Modeh ani, before you brush your teeth, before you do anything. Right? Modern psychology will tell you they're like, you should start your morning every day with gratitude. I'm like, Jews have been doing that forever. It's called Modeh ani lefanecha. Melech chai v'kayam, שהחזרת בי נשמתי בכם לרבה אמונתך. It's my favorite part. Thank you, God, for bringing back my soul into my body. I'm so grateful. רבה אמונתך. How great is your faith in me, God, that you think I should have another day. How amazing is that? We're also thanking God, thank you so much for trusting me to get out of bed today. You clearly know I have a purpose. Oh, it's so good being Jewish. It's so fun. Oh my gosh, it's wonderful. And it's so much work. But what else do we have to do if not the work? Shop? Meh. This is so much better. So friends, I'm going to stick around for a little bit longer, but I want to try to honor everybody's time. I am so grateful for you going on this journey alongside me. Genuinely, thank you so much. I can't wait to see you at the High Holy Days. If you need anything to talk, to vent, to cry, don't ever apologize for crying. Anything, please talk to us. We are here to serve. We are here to be here for you, with you. And just because we're the clergy on the bima doesn't mean we don't have tshuva. We have double the amount. We really do. So thank you so much. I'm sticking around for a little bit. Appreciate you, everybody. Thank you, my friend.
Yes, because you will never, ever, ever be
Yes,
able
sir.
to spell her name properly.
Got it.
Her last name.
Got it. You're right. You're so right. You're so right. I don't know that I realized it was hyphen.
Yeah, well, mine is. Hers is not.
Mine is.
Right, of course. I love Officer Scott. He looks at me like, okay, amazing.
I have business email.
Dish?
Yeah.
Great. I'm gonna call you. I'm gonna get you on.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll leave you a message.
Yeah,
Yes,
no,
please do because I
know-
probably won't answer it.
We know Dan
I've
too.
had
Okay,
too,
good.
I've had too much